Hey everyone, and welcome to another Spodcast. I've got to be honest, I wasn't actually planning on doing a podcast this weekend because I was going to do a bumper one on Friday for the WandaVision finale. However, there's been quite a bit of interesting news, so I thought, hey, why not? So I quickly grabbed John, brought him back, and we're just going to quickly go through some of the news, share our opinions, and bore you to death for the next 30-40 minutes, just like we've done on every other podcast. And if you've just joined this podcast, please don't leave. I was only joking, it's not that boring. But hey, John, how are we doing?
I'm not bad. I'm here to continue the consistency of boring.
Yes, that I should call it the Borecast. And you know what the thing is? People probably listen to it more if they're being boring. Listen to it before you go to bed. There we go. You'll enjoy it. It'll be good.
It's the nice white noise before bed. That's one way to get to sleep.
Yeah, definitely. I should read bedtime stories at the end of the podcast. If you jump to the last 10 minutes, I'll read you a bedtime story. Once upon a time, that's the end of the podcast. And they lived happily ever after. There we go. Oh, I've done it now. Don't need to do it later. But let's get back on point. So we've had a lot of interesting news, and one of them is from the world of DC. And I wish I could say I was surprised by DC, but yet again, they are rebooting Batman. No, not Batman. Of course, it's always Batman. But they're rebooting Superman. Yeah, I did know it was Superman. It's always Batman. They usually reboot, but no, this time it's Superman. It's been a few years, probably about 5. So they thought, hey, let's reboot it again. But this time with J.J. Abrams. Now, I am a huge J.J. Abrams fan. Love what he did with Star Trek. Love Lost. And him doing Superman has actually got me excited. But what about you, John? Do we actually need a rebooted Superman, especially with the Justice League just becoming popular again with Henry Cavill?
I think it's too soon. It depends how they go about it. For me, it's J.J. Abrams was originally rumored with Henry Cavill, I think, before Superman Returns was made for the flyby. So I think he's always had a concept idea. So the strength in terms of the writing may be there, and the direction it goes. For me, it all is all about how it constructs into the timeline of what we have now. Um, I do feel like we need someone answered sort of questions that are looming in the air, like what's going to happen with Henry Cavill with his Superman, because he's shown time and time with a desire wanting to return to the Cape. But I do feel like it all depends. I think we need more in terms of how it fits into the construct of everything to whether to say it's too soon or not.
Now, what would be really interesting is if actually Henry Cavill is Superman, but actually works with this new Superman, because multiverses are the big thing right now. DC obviously are doing it for the Flash film, and Marvel is pretty much hinting it's going to happen. We'll probably have more news on that next week. But multiverses seem to be the big thing with crossover of characters. Would you actually like to see Henry Cavill and this new Superman maybe passing over the torch? Or do you think maybe they need it in a separate universe, a bit like Robert Pattinson's The Batman?
I don't. For me, like CW was the CW DC universe did the whole multiverse thing quite quick and did it at an early stage. And I think the way they did it was everything had its sort of place in the universe. It worked solo, and that's not to say that that works. I mean, because also at the same time we've had Into the Spider Verse with Miles Morales and Peter, and that chemistry worked really well. I think it's all about on screen chemistry, whether or not you can play the two off against each other, where mentor and mentee, sort of how like Flash and Arrow did it for many years. Um, I do feel Henry Cavill's of the age and the presence of Superman, where I think maybe perhaps he could be stepping into a mentorship if it's like 2 or 3 years on, because he's only just been Superman for, if we could sort of look at the timeline, maybe 2 or 3 years. So I don't think he's out of that status yet to be a mentor. Um, I do get the feeling that like it should be. It will probably more than likely, in my opinion, become a multiverse, and it will fall in a separate universe like Robert Patterson's. But it'd be nice to see sort of down the road that it is a more of a mentorship.
See, personally, I'm thinking Henry Cavill is just done. He's sick of waiting and finding out, is he not? And he's going into other projects, and we'll actually go into that one. I've got it further down the list, but we'll jump into that one in a minute. But I feel like Henry Cavill's probably just sick of waiting and just went, you know what, yeah, don't want to do Superman anymore. I've got other people chasing after us. To be fair, Henry Cavill is quite hot property at the minute because of The Witcher and things
Yeah.
like that. And I think he's had a bit of a bum deal, to be fair. I liked Henry Cavill as Superman. I thought he's the perfect actor. He has the looks of it, he has the personality for it as well. And I think he's just had a bad time as Superman.
I think it's almost ludicrous to think that Warner Bros. Haven't jumped on the idea already of trying to boot up a Man of Steel 2 or a sequel to that. Batman vs Superman wasn't really a sequel to it. And let's be honest, Henry Cavill is very much like Keanu Reeves of the acting world. He's like loved by everybody. I mean, he's there being sort of repairing PCs and loved by the geek community. He's obviously quite an attractive man, well-built man. So there's the female community that likes him. There is an appease to all communities. I feel to Henry Cavill. So I think he could be a potential golden goose, but they haven't utilized that, and I think it's just lack of vision on their behalf. And it's a shame, really, because last year he was at the height of popularity because of lockdown. He was fixing his PC, and of course the Witcher series, as we've mentioned before.
So it'd be interesting to see, obviously, with the Justice League extended cut, where it leaves Superman, because just a little bit of side news, there's meant to be a massive cliffhanger at the end of the Snyder Cut Justice League, but I don't think we're going to get any resolution for it, which is a bit worrying because the idea was to do that and then that'd lead into other films. But yeah, supposedly it's going to be a massive cliffhanger. Do you think they might fix that in The Flash, or do you think it's just going to be a cliffhanger and that's it, we're done?
I hope if there's a cliffhanger there that is going to desire an answer to it, it's going to get the fans drumming up more for a sequel with HBO Max, even if it's even on they've proven that they can do that. Whether or not that happens, I don't know. If it's not going to happen and it's not going to get, we're not going to get the answer to cliffhanger, then write it off through Flash. Have Flashpoint reset everything. It's probably the best bet, really.
I think Flashpoint is probably going to be the perfect opportunity to wipe out Batfleck, Henry Cavill, and actually have different actors and things like that. Perfect opportunity for DC to maybe try and start again, maybe. And I think, to be fair, and personally, I think DC just need their slate wiped clean, start again, try and build something like the Marvel universe, which worked. Now, I'm not saying be like Marvel, I'm just saying look at how they did it, how it worked. I think everyone's in agreement that's what they kind of like from DC, a one universe that just fits and works.
I think they need to take more risks as well with more unidentified characters. We've got a whole host. DC Universe haven't got, well, Warner Bros. Haven't got the same constraints as Marvel had when they were starting up their Marvel Universe. There's so many properties that own so many characters. Like, for example, Sony with Spider-Man, Fox with the X-Men. You've got these properties here that own those characters. Warner Bros. Haven't. And you've got interesting characters out there like Mr. Miracle and Big Barda. You've got various other ones like the Justice Society of America, which is finally coming through now with the Black Adam after so many years. There is so many different characters. There's Black Canary and Green Arrow. I really want to see be done justice on the big screen. And I think the guy from Vikings has been rumored so many times or gossiped so many times about doing it. They've got so much potential out there, and a dream host of actors now that are coming through through the years that have got these experience to fulfill these roles. More and more actors want to do superior roles. So I just think they're missing opportunities left, right, and center. And yeah, it's unfortunate, really.
Yeah, now obviously DC have just released, and I haven't seen the episode yet, but I know about it, I've read about it, so spoilers if you haven't seen the first episode, but Lois and Superman's first episode aired this week. I don't think it's on Sunday nights, I can't remember which nights it's on.
Tuesday, I think, CW.
Tuesday nights, yep. So I'm just wondering when this gets released, if episode 2's released, but no, episode 2 will not be out yet, but episode 1 of Lois and Superman has released. I've seen the opening that was on YouTube the other day with Superman in a very comic book based outfit compared to what we've seen him previously in the Arrowverse. But obviously, John, you've seen the first episode. What were your thoughts on the first episode of Lois and, I want to say Lois and Clark, because I'm a fan of
Yeah,
the Dean Cain
New
series, but
Avengers.
Lois and Superman. I'm sure the DVDs are just behind me there as well. But yeah, Lois and Superman, what were your thoughts?
I really enjoyed it, and there's little Easter eggs to. So the cinematography is beautiful. It is beautifully captured. It that trumps all the other shows that have come before in terms of cinematography and in terms of the direction of the episode for a pilot as well. Because most pilots for episodes are very slow and they start off, but this was very intense. It was gripping. It made me want to watch more, but it also had a nice flow of like family and Superman. Because when I first heard the concept, I'll be honest, I think we mentioned on one of the other podcast episodes that I kind of said I wasn't excited as I was. Um, but after watching it, it's made me want to watch more. I love the 1940s Superman costume making an appearance with the Action Comics front cover, sort of scene they had on there. There's even a scene where a child turns around and says, "Oh, where'd you get your costume from?" And I think he goes, "Oh, my mother made it for me,"
Yeah.
which is sort of a throwback to the pilot of New Adventures of Superman when he saves the family in the rocket, and the girl asks him, "Where'd you get the costume from?" So there's little Easter eggs like that were fun across the way. But overall, I really enjoyed the episode.
I'm looking forward to seeing it now. There was a lot of concern about the kids, and obviously, when you have kids and everyone wants to see that, how that dynamic was going to work. But do you think the twin boys has actually worked in the show, or do you think it's just something that's going to become a gimmick as time goes on?
I think the way they're going, I'm getting a very Smallville vibe. It's the only way to compare it. I think they're trying to revitalize the Smallville community and those who are like long lasting fans that have watched it and continue to watch it over and over again throughout the years. I think they're trying to get those guys back on board because I sensed with the twins, and I could be completely wrong here, there's going to be sort of a Lex and Clark dynamic from season 1 and 2. They
Yeah.
both respect each other. They're both on two opposite paths, but eventually, as we've seen series, that brothers tend to collide with each other. So I think that aspect might sort of throw a dynamic into it. Um, Whether or not it becomes a gimmick or not might be another thing entirely. It is Superman and it is CW as well.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely be checking that out very soon. And because we mentioned Henry Cavill as well, I thought this bit of news was quite interesting. And Henry Cavill, as we know, has played Superman, but he is a massive, massive geek and nerd, and he was a fan of The Witcher. But he teased the other day that there is possibly a Mass Effect, and we don't know this, it could be a TV show, it could be a short movie, it could be a mini series, but he was teasing that he would be part of the Mass Effect universe in some way. So it's quite interesting. Now, for those who haven't played Mass Effect, and I haven't played it, but it's about Commander Shepard, who is part of a intergalactic kind of police force in a sense, and they are going about stopping some evil aliens. That's as much as I know about Mass Effect. John, I'm assuming you haven't played Mass
I have,
Effect.
yeah.
You have
I
played
have,
it.
yep. Yep, I've
So,
played all of them so far.
so what are your thoughts on Mass Effect and Henry Cavill becoming part of that universe?
Well, we like you say, he's a massive geek. He's like us. So I think they've probably chose the right guy because Commander Shepard is a sort of a big stature of a guy. You don't actually really play it. Well, you don't play him as at all in the fourth one, but in the second one, especially, he's like legendary status. And the third, he does a sort of legendary sacrifice almost. So he's a big heroic sort of stature of a person. So I think Henry Cavill being, in my opinion, I think he's perfect for The Witcher. I think he's filled the role really well and does justice for the books and probably the games too as well. Um, I think they've probably chose the right guy again. I'd like to see it as a series like Witcher as opposed to a film because it seemed more. I think series are the way forward a little bit now with these streaming services, and I think Mass Effect would fit perfectly with it. So yeah, I'm really happy with the casting to be honest.
Yeah, I think
If
it'd
that
be
is true.
really good. My worry is that it's going to be overkill of gaming projects because we've got Assassin's Creed, we've got a Tomb Raider animated series, obviously we've got The Witcher, obviously Mass Effect now. What's going to be next? Are we going to have a Pokemon live series? Are we going to have a Zelda live series? Now, I'm just throwing those two out there because actually I think they would be really cool. But what's going I think is going to happen is everybody starts enjoying something like superhero films, and then everything is superhero based and it just becomes oversaturated and people lose interest. It's like they had disaster films at one point, like 2 decades ago, where everything was disaster movies. Do you think that this is leading to people going to becoming bored of games being made into TV series? Or do you think the flip side could happen where TV series might start jumping back into becoming games?
I think that is probably going to be ultimately the goal, is to revitalize some of the games. I mean, Mass Effect games haven't been vastly popular since the third one. The fourth was met with sort of mixed reviews. Tomb Raider games, as we know previously before, there everybody loves the original as opposed to the new ones, and I think that's to revitalize there. There could be a hidden sort of agenda in terms of trying to revitalize the love from the fans by proving that they can do justice on screen to then transfer that over to the gameplay. I'd like to. I know it's going to throw a spanner in the wrench, but I like to see a Spyro series, like a cartoon gimmick or Crash Bandicoot one, something that's really light-hearted and not overly serious. Obviously not like Sonic, because we'll not mention that one. But yeah, I think there is a possibility though that it could get oversaturated. I mean, we've had the last 10 years or 12 years of just superhero films, one after the other. And I do think there is a superhero fatigue going off there. But like you say, we've had zombies, we've had vampires, we've had disaster films. I think this is just the year of the sort of, we could be going to the era of game to film.
So it'd be interesting. Obviously, it's a hint. Nobody knows if it's going to happen or not. It's just a script tease that people have worked out. But let's be fair, it's going to be Mass Effect. We know it's going to be. And it's been a big week for game news. One of which annoys me, is Final Fantasy VII is getting a PlayStation 5 update and DLC, which I'm in the predicament of owning the physical copy for the PlayStation 4, but owning a digital PlayStation 5, which means if I want to play it, I either have to buy a physical PlayStation 5 or pay 80 quid for the game again, which is annoying, but I love Final Fantasy VII and I'm probably going to end up paying it, is the problem. But bigger than that, and this is the one which I found the most interesting, and it's a very highly popular animated series, card game, and game, is Pokemon is finally getting an open world game. Now, I don't know if you've seen any of this yet, John, but it has a very, really pleasing view, which is very similar to Breath of the Wild. Are you big on Pokemon? Are you a Pokemon fan? I'm sat here with, I think, some Pokemon stuff hidden just behind me there, signed by the voice of Ash Ketchum herself, one of my friends, Veronica Taylor.
There you go. I mean, for me personally, I went through my Pokemon phase when I was a kid with the Game Boys, red, blue, and yellow, and I went through the cards. I actually, ironically, sold all the cards I had about 3 or 4 months ago. Sort of got rid of all the shinies and stuff, like things like Charizard. I enjoyed, the last thing I enjoyed of Pokemon really was the Pikachu movie, and I think that was quite a nice touch to adding that into the realism of real world. So if they bring that element, it'd be good. I remember playing years ago, and I can't remember the name of it. There was a PlayStation 1 game where it was an open world RPG and used to raise like monsters, and they were almost like Pokemon. And I can't remember the name of it.
I know which one you reference, but it's
like
blank
Jade
on me
Cocoon,
as well.
is it? Is it Jade Cocoon?
Possibly. I never played it. I know which one you mean. I can kind of visualize it, but I just can't remember the name.
But I remember being satisfied with playing that when I was younger, and obviously enjoying the Game Boy games. If you can expand upon that and make something almost like the open world Zeldas or even Skyrim style with Pokemon involved somehow, I think you've got a large target audience massively there. I think if they get it right, they'll make millions and millions from it and probably produce a second one.
Now, I got Let's Go Eevee, and there's also Let's Go Pikachu. But Let's Go Eevee, when it came out on the Switch for the updated graphics, and it was great playing it in that 3D environment. And I know they're doing the same with, I want to say Diamond and Sapphire. I've probably got that wrong. Apologies if I have. But they're doing the reworked looks. But the open world aspect of doing a Pokemon game, it's actually got me excited again, thinking you have full control of what you do in that game. And I think that makes Pokemon more exciting and it'll be interesting to see how they kind of adapt it, but it's not going to be out until next year, and I think already it's probably going to be one of the biggest games of 2022, and people are going to be sat eagerly waiting to see what they do with it. Now, I'm assuming, do you have a Switch or not?
I don't, unfortunately, no. It's been one of my on my list to get.
See, here's me sat with my Switch to my left, my PlayStation 5. I just need an Xbox, and I get that sorted. If Microsoft, if you're watching, there won't be, but send me an Xbox Series X. I'll do lots of reviews. But yeah, I'm really excited to see this Pokemon open world game, and I liked when you were talking about Detective Pikachu and it having a real world look with the Pokemon in it. That would be a game that I would adore, where it looks like it's the real world but Pokemon. Imagine cyberpunk looking game. Actually, maybe not cyberpunk looking game, because
Yeah,
no one
maybe
likes
not.
cyberpunk at the minute. But a GTA type game where it's like real world but Pokemon walking around. GTA Pokemon, there you go. That's something interesting. Charizard blowing up cars and stuff like that. That could be fun.
Pikachu holding up a store.
I think Nintendo are probably going to sue us after that comment, so let's move on. Next up on my list of news, talking about obviously animated like Pokemon, Terminator is getting an animated series. And Terminator is one of those franchises which everybody loves, but the films they end up hating. What is going on with Terminator? The past films have been dreadful. It's just failed since Terminator 2. After that, no one's been able to kind of bring it back. Do you think an animated series could help save the Terminator franchise? Or is it just going to be one of those ones where we'll go, oh, reboot it, start again?
I think with an animated series, you've got a lot more you can do with not the worry of budget constraints. I think also they could bring Arnold Schwarzenegger back as sort of a younger, more Terminator 2 style, because obviously nobody ages in the animated world; it's all voice acting. So I think that maybe potentially they might revert back to Terminator 2 and have an alternative timeline that goes off. I'm not sure. Terminators, like you say, are very hit and miss, more miss than hit recently, and it's I don't know. I think it's a bit risky franchise really to do it with. Yeah, I don't know what my thoughts are on this one. I think honestly, I think it's a bit too risky on this subject.
See, I'm switched off. I love the Terminator films, and I watched all of the first four or so, but now I'm at the point where I've just stopped caring. As soon as I hear the word Terminator, I'm like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah,
And I think a lot of people are in that mindset where, yes, they would love to see it be great, but I think people are going to wait until the first few episodes are out, read the reviews, and then see, am I going to dedicate my time to this series? And I think personally it's going to be a massive flop. I think the
yeah.
Terminator franchise is just not going to live up to the expectations of the first two films.
I feel like people still return to the cinema hoping for Terminator 2, but they're not. I think the unfortunate thing, I think Terminator worked really well in the 80s because it was an 80s style genre. It was the 80s cheese mixed with the 80s action. I think it worked for the time period. I think people appreciate it because of the nostalgia of that. But I think personally, if you were to release Terminator 2 in the present of this today, it could be argued it wouldn't work. And I think that's the problem with the Terminator films as a whole. They try and replicate what's come before, but it's not the right time for it. The last Terminator, I didn't even bother to watch. To be honest with you, from the trailer, I was like, "Yeah, this has lost the idea of what Terminator really was at the beginning."
Do you think Arnie's going to voice the character? They're going to try and get Arnold involved, or they're just going to try and go in a different direction?
I think they'll probably get Arnold involved. I mean, he's the sort of the head man for the franchise. I'd like to see it different from a different perspective. I know it wasn't well received, but Christian Bale's one, the which one was that one again?
Genesis?
Genesis. I think that had the right idea, just the wrong execution. It was based within the elements of it, and it wasn't sort of tied directly to Terminator 2 in that. I think they did the right idea. Like I say, wrong execution. If they can do something like that in an animated series and do it to make it work justice, I think we could see Terminator in a whole different light.
Well, like I say, I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm probably not going to check it out. And again, it's another animated series coming from Netflix. Again, it's probably down to a lot of COVID and lockdown and animation being a lot easier to film and sort out. So we are going to be getting a lot of animated series coming up in the future. And talking about things that you would never expect to be back. See how I worked in the little slogan there really badly. Fraser and Rugrats are coming back soon. Now, Fraser, I absolutely adored Fraser. Here in the UK, it used to be on Channel 4 on a Friday night at about 10 o'clock, and it was one of the most popular shows on a Friday. And it's back. Lots of people adore Frasier. It's got such a good reputation as well. And it's coming back for possibly a reboot, a sequel. We don't know the full workings out yet and which characters will be back. But John, were you a fan of Frasier when it first aired?
I was fairly young when it first aired. I think I was something like 5 or 6.
Make me feel old, thank you.
Sorry. But I remember watching reruns a bit later on, and it was I did understand why the appeal was there. I wasn't a massive fan. I watched when you watch the odd episode on TV when there's got reruns on. I'm just a bit surprised they're on about rebooting it. To be honest with yourself, it's something like that is a bit of a dangerous task at hand. Rugrats, I would have thought would be a lot easier, but Fraser's a bit of an unusual.
Well, they've actually released a clip of the Rugrats, and it looks all right. Rugrats, I'm not going to watch it. I'm going to be honest. It's not really perked my interest, but I'm sure a lot of younger audience will be excited to see it, and parents will be really looking forward to watching it with their children because they'll have that nostalgia vibe themselves. But the Fraser reboot or sequel or whatever it's going to be is going to be an interesting one because the audiences have changed. What we expect from TV sitcoms and comedies has changed and developed in the 15, 20 years. Is it 20 years? It must be about 20 odd years since it's been on TV.
That's it. Oh yeah, I would have been 10 then, wouldn't I? Yeah, it is about 20 years.
Yeah, making me feel old here. I'm so glad I'm so youthful in looks. But yeah, Fraser, it's gonna have to do something special. I don't think it could survive with 22 episodes, but I think a short series, maybe like 5 or 6 episodes as a one-off series, just to kind of see where the characters are, would be very interesting to see how it goes. But I'm concerned when shows that kind of always had that high level of love and respect, when they come back, they just don't hit the mark.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think when something works, it's best to just leave it there and just appreciate what it was. It's like a piece of art. You don't really want to change a piece of art and try and re-release it, because then it takes away from what it originally was. And I think that's the most dangerous thing. Like it was removed. It was what, like you say, 20 years ago, and it sits with a lot of fans still today, and people still, bought the DVDs and watched again. To re-release something like that is a bit of a, like I say, risky move. I saw the Rugrats clip, and I think that works really well because it appeals to a demographic that will not remember the original. You'll probably still get some of the old fans that watched it years ago, but I think it's not the same as Fraser. I think rebooting something like Fraser's, I'm very curious to see how it goes.
Yeah, I'll probably check it out, not going to lie, but I'm not going to try and get my excitement up, because usually if you get excited about something, you're usually left disappointed. So if I stay disappointed, I can only be disappointed by the end. But moving on, because again I want this to be a short podcast, we have a bit of Marvel news, and Spider-Man 3 was having a bit of fun with everybody this week, where the main 3 stars were teasing fake names, and then they finally revealed the name to be Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, if you've been keeping up with the news, this is obviously linking into the multiverse, and we have characters from other franchises of Spider-Man appearing. But No Way Home is sounding very ominous that either our main characters are trapped in the multiverse, or characters have come across, or maybe they are actually travelling in very Sliders-esque, there's an old TV show for you, Quantum Leap, where they're jumping between multiverses trying to get back home. Now that, a Quantum Leap style Spider-Man
Ziggy
sounds like so much fun. What did you think of that title, No Way Home?
They had to get the word home in it, didn't they? Let's be honest. All of them now have the word home in. I wonder if we're going to get another trilogy where it's going to have different words.
See, my guess
Um,
was going to be Home from Home, and then it could have Spider-Man, like all the three O's could
yeah,
be the face, because it'd be Spider-Man 3, and it'd have three Spider-Man faces, but I was wrong.
different costume for it. Yeah, I was. To be honest with you, there's so much come out about this Spider-Man. We've heard that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are coming to it. We've got here Charlie Cox might return as Daredevil. Um, I don't know. Is the No Way Home maybe because like his obviously we know spoilers. The last film that they had him have his identity revealed in the sort of post credits. Maybe he can't go home because everybody know who he is, so they're gonna arrest him. Maybe that's the sort of element. Or like you say, maybe it is going to be like a quantum leap or Spider Verse even, where like he gets sucked into a different world and now he's trying to find his way home.
The current theory is that, and this has happened in the comics, that obviously everyone's mind gets wiped,
Yeah,
unknown. Now that's through Mephisto, which a lot of people are predicting to be in WandaVision in the finale, and Spider-Man doing that way. But my current theory, and I know a lot of people have had this theory as well, is that he goes to Doctor Strange to cast a spell to remove everyone's memories of who he is. And
yeah.
while in Doctor Strange's house, I will forget the name, the Memento. Blair. I can never remember the name of the house.
Baker
But
Street, isn't it?
221 Baker Street.
Yeah, I
Sherlock
believe it
Holmes.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be that one. But when they're there, they find something which causes them to move between the worlds. The Nexus, I believe there's a wand that is used that's also in the Captain Marvel films that you see in Doctor Strange, which is linked to the multiverse and the Nexus, and that makes them transfer into the multiverse, which would be an interesting way of connecting Spider-Man to Captain Marvel. There's a lot of comic book background there. I don't know all the technical words, but there is a wand kind of thing, a staff, which links to the multiverse, that can be linked into Captain Marvel, that can also be linked into what is happening in WandaVision. And that could be an interesting direction for them to take with Spider-Man. What would you like to see from Spider-Man 3? Would you like them jump between multiverse, quantum leap style, or do you think it's just going to be more New York home-based?
I'd like to see a multiverse brought in because let's be honest, that opens up the potential for having like the Spider-Men and having and down the line we could have like the battle with the Spider-Man against the I think it was Morbus or Mordus, the vampire like killer of Spider-Man. That's a completely different
Morbius.
story anyway. That's the one. I do feel like that would be cool because then if you have a multiverse and it nods to it, then that's potential down the line. But I think I'd like to see the sort of like the elements of there was a comic years ago where Daredevil had to wear the Spider-Man costume in order to sort of clear Peter Parker's name. I'd like that to be the first part of the film, is like clearing Peter Parker's name, and then the second part leading on to this. In terms of like whether Mephisto's involved to create what was Brand New Day, where I don't think that would happen because Peter's got nothing to bargain to get that.
Yeah.
I think for me personally, I think if Marvel plays the cards right, it's going to be a multiverse 100%. The whole film's going to be that.
I think it could also link into the Sony multiverse because there's rumors about Tom Hardy's Venom
Yeah,
and things like that, which means they can link the Sony and Marvel universes together in a fun and interesting way, which I'd love to see because everyone loves the Venom storyline. Or this could be a very interesting way for the Venom virus to transfer into the MCU from the Venom Sony universe. Who knows? They could go in any sort of direction, but we'll only be able to work out more on Friday with WandaVision's finale. Now, episode 8, and just to be clear, because there was a lot of confusion on the social media, they said 2 episodes left, and then they said watch episode 8 now, so everyone was like, ooh, 10 episodes. They actually meant episode 8 is one of the 2. And my puppy's going crazy right now for some reason. But yeah, so as well, the final 2 episodes. So WandaVision this week, I thought was really interesting. It is just the Wanda show. I've got to say that Paul Bettany may be first in the credits, But I think Vision has been very kind of put aside this entire series, and it has been the Elizabeth Olsen show. And personally, I think she deserves at least Emmy nominations just for the range of different things she's had to go through in the last episode and some of the previous ones. What was your thoughts on the latest episode, episode 8?
I agree with the Vision statement there. I think this is the whole series to me has always been about Wanda. And the last episode, her emotional range from being sort of like angry to saddened to, yeah, almost that click realization, like as we said weeks ago, that the potential of this world was creation of a manifestation of depression. I think has you see the emotion in her, and I think any actor to convey that sort of emotion to for you to feel it from the screen there is like you say, Emmy a nomination worthy at least. I love what the content was in there. I love the backstory with Sokovia being included, and obviously the DVD cases being pulled out where it all links together. There was only one thing about the Sokovian scene that I was quite a little surprised by, is just I remember the description of it being different in Age of Ultron about cuddling underneath the rocks or something, and the parents being dead from it. But apart from that, I enjoyed the episode. It filled in the gaps. It filled in how like her and Vision's relationship sort of manifested in the sort of the Avengers compound, where like he would go into her on a nightly basis. So yeah, it was quite nice to sort of tie those little links up.
So, what are your theories for the final episode? I've got two theories that I'm kind of going with. Because of the ending, we know Vision is kind of in the air right now. He's obviously going to come down and save the kids. It just seems weird that he's flying and Agatha's flying in the air just randomly. Why have her flying when she could be on the ground? But I think that's how it's going to stop. But the key thing is from the end of the latest episode is white Vision.
Yeah.
Now, the physical embodiment of Vision is a mixture of Jarvis and Ultron. As we saw from episode 8, Vision in Westview is built thoroughly from the Mind Stone, because I found it very interesting that when Vision was being made, compared to everything else, it was with yellow energy like the Mind Stone, which means you have Jarvis and Ultron in one side of White Vision and the Mind Stone Vision in Westview. My theory is that Mind Stone Vision will combine with the physical White Vision, which is Jarvis and Ultron, and will become whole once again. Because I found it very weird that in the White Vision, they decided to give him the Mind Stone block where maybe the Vision's energy can go into. What are your kind of theories and predictions for the final episode? That's mine. I think they've got two Visions and they're going to combine.
I agree. I think that's what's going to ultimately happen. I don't think the end product will be the Vision that we know, that we've seen over the years. I think it's going to be a different Vision that will still have elements of all, but I don't think it's going to be the same Vision. It's going to be a character evolution. You know, we're going to see him in a different light, but we still have some feelings for Wanda, because that'll be entailed with, I imagine, if they're constructing him back from the remnants, there is, as Shuri said, there's still elements where Vision is in the construct of his mind, like there's still elements there, so they'll combine. But I do feel like if they're going to do it, this is the perfect time to shake things up a little bit more and make Vision a completely different person in some ways and the same in others. I'd like to see Agatha not being revealed as the villain, because I think Agatha's too much of a, I think it's too obvious for her to be a villain, and in the comics she wasn't really a villain as such. She was more of a mentor.
She was in the grey area, really.
Yeah, she was sort of the chaotic good, almost like Scarlet Witch, to be honest, or chaotic neutral even, I would say. But Agatha, yeah, I'd like to see that it's Mephisto that is really bending and playing with the sort of puppet master of both Agatha and Wanda.
There's a few theories going around that Agatha will actually join with Wanda and Vision to battle White Vision to try and save Westview, because it looks like Agatha was doing this. She saw the powers of Wanda. She wanted to know how she did this, and now she's worked it out. So if you think, Agatha hasn't really done anything too evil other than killing Sparky, But other than that, Agatha hasn't actually done anything major in comparison to other enemies. It was more she was trying to find out how Wanda has her powers, and that's what
Yeah.
Agatha's after. She's after more power. So, in a sense, Agatha is kind of like we're saying that kind of grey area where she's bad, but she hasn't done anything majorly bad. It's Wanda who's technically the bad guy by controlling the people. So, stopping White Vision, they may team up. But we still have two major lingering questions of who is the actual engineer? Is it anyone? And what is the major cameo that is being hinted at by Wanda and Paul Bettany? Or was that White Vision?
I do feel like the potential would be the only sorcerer that exists on the Earth plane, which would be Benedict Cumberbatch being.
I don't think that's the big cameo though, because I think that's pretty much a given that he will
Yeah,
appear in some form.
maybe I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to hype it up and confirm that that's linked there. I'd like. It sounds strange. I'd like Steve Rogers to appear because she respected very much Steve Rogers, and I think Captain America appearing in an old person might be sort of the moral stability there for Wanda realizing maybe she's going too far, or maybe even Jeremy Renner, because obviously him and Scarlet Witch had a sort of like a sort of bond there of respect. So I think another Avenger would be good. I wonder if we're gonna you never know, we might even get Carol Danvers pop in because obviously we've got Proton now as the sort of new hero if she's going to go by that name, because she's still lingering in Westview as well. Or we might just, I don't know, we might just get a completely different one, like for example Ultron. We might have him as the voice cameo as opposed to a physical cameo.
It'd be interesting to see what they go, because it's rumoured to be a 50-minute long episode. So when you take the credits out, they've only got 10 minutes of episode time in order to answer all of these questions. But no, I think the episode will be 50 minutes, so that means about 45 minutes of episode time. There's a lot for them to cover in this time. I don't think we're going to get all of the answers, because this is meant to be the lead in to Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. So personally, I don't think we're going to get all of the answers, but I think we will get something will happen. They can't build it all the way up and not have some sort of major reveal. Do you think Vision is going to survive at the end of this? I'd love to see him combined into White Vision to come back, but this whole show has been about dealing with grief. And I think storyline wise, I think it's leading to the point where Wanda has to sacrifice Vision once again to move forward.
Yeah, I think it's about. I don't think I'd like the idea that she combines Vision with the soul, the Mind Stone. There, it becomes Vision again. But as I said previously, like I think the Vision we get is a Vision we're not going to recognize. So in a sense, her sacrificing is also creating another Vision that isn't her Vision, because that would be coming to terms with grief in a whole different way. That accepting the Vision she knows and loves is embodied there, but isn't actually the Vision she knows. So she's having to almost admit that grief and let go. I'd like to see Paul Bettany still keep up the Vision character, but I do think there is an element of restriction because eventually Paul Bettany will age, and Vision is an ageless character. So I think they are against it there, and I haven't heard any real hints or any sort of indication that Vision's going to continue on in the MCU. So I do feel like this will be probably the end of Vision, which will be sad.
Well, we'll have to see what happens. Obviously, it's 5 days away in recording of this podcast. I'm gutted because I'm actually having to go into work on that day. Usually I've been able to get away with watching it first thing in the morning, but the one day I have to go back into work during lockdown is the one day this airs. But I can't wait to see the finale of WandaVision. We are going to record a very special Spodcast on the Friday and get that out on the Friday as well for WandaVision, and I can't wait to discuss about the series as a whole, and I want to discuss about what this means for Phase 4 going forwards. But we will end the Spodcast there. Just a very short, quick one. It's been about 45 minutes or so. But thank you very much, John. We'll have you back on the WandaVision podcast on Friday, I believe, yes?
Yep, I'll be definitely there.
Awesome, and we hope to have you guys there as well. Don't forget, if you're watching via YouTube, to hit that subscribe button, and we are available on pretty much every audio podcast there is, pretty much. Spotify, Apple iTunes, Amazon, Google, Podbean, we're all on there, so please give us a follow, please give us a thumbs up and review, it really appreciate it. But for the latest news and information, don't forget to check out SpoilerTV.com. He was John, I was CJ, and we'll see you on Friday. Thanks for watching our video, guys. Really hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget you can subscribe to Spoiler TV just using the little Spoiler TV button, or check out some of the latest articles and recommended videos from our channel as well. Thanks for supporting us, and we'll see you again soon.